Hey guys, so today I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to talk a bit about The Bachelor. I was just talking to my friend about this and we pretty much agreed on it, but she thought it'd be kind of cool if I made a video talking about my opinions and thoughts on the latest episode and just kind of seeing what you guys have to say, because I think there are a few different lessons that I think could kind of be taken away from this. So kind of as an overall statement real quickly, I do want to say I'm not necessarily for or against anyone. This video isn't really about that. Now, the topic that I want to kind of go into was brought up by the latest episode that was on Monday night, the 23rd. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and check it out and then come back here and you might be able to kind of follow along a little bit better. Basically, kind of the big storyline is about Corinne, and I feel like that episode was pretty much almost all about her, and it was really about, you know, the way she was acting, how that was affecting the other girls, what the other girls thought about it, blah 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 blah. So my thoughts on this are kind of interesting, and I just wanted to see if you guys agree, disagree, whatever you do think. Feel free to leave it down in the comments below, because I would love to have like a mature discussion about it, because I do think there are probably a few different sides to this as well. First of all, I would just say that I do think that Corinne is acting in a way where she is focused on Nick. I mean, the whole idea and point of The Bachelor is to be chosen to win, and how you do that, of course, is having a connection with someone. Now, I do think having a mental connection with someone is very important. Of course, you have to have that, but there also is another component, and we can just be adults here and say that sexual chemistry in a relationship is a huge part of it. I know very well that I've had people that I have, you know, emotional, mental chemistry with, but sexually I'm not attracted, or I wouldn't be attracted, or it just wouldn't work in that way. And I know that in, you know, fulfilling relationship, you do have to have both. Just as if you do have insane, you know, sexual chemistry with someone, you're so into them, so attracted, it works really well, but you can't talk about anything real, you can't be vulnerable, you can't share your real feelings, that's never going to be sustainable and that's never going to work. So it does have to be a mixture of the two. Now, I would say she, you know, she has been kind of, I guess, targeted a bit for being aggressive in the way that she's acted towards Nick.
He likes her, and like that's why we're all intimidated.
She also, I guess, slept through a rose ceremony and then kind of stayed out of, I guess, some of like the girl kind of chat that has gone on. And I always think it's really interesting every year to kind of watch the girls on The Bachelor and see how they act. I know a lot of girls on there really do seem like they're more interested in becoming friends with each other than even like getting attention of the guy, which, you know, to each their own, but I do think it is interesting to at least keep in mind that this is a reality TV show, and a lot of these people that maybe don't win do go on to do endorsement deals and other things, and, you know, have some sort of like celebrity status just from being on the show. So when watching, you do need to at least understand that maybe some of these girls want that fame or that notoriety for being on The Bachelor, but maybe they're not as like interested or set in on the guy. And of course, this should go without saying, but it is reality TV, so what they're showing you might not also be the full story. I know I was once approached by MTV to do a story with my sister, and we actually ended up turning down the offer because once we started talking to producers about what exactly it would be, what would go on, what type of rights and control we would have over what they filmed, they basically told us that they can't like fake anything. So if you say something, that's what they will use. Now, that's not to say that they can't kind of chop and screw, you know, the footage and put things in different places to make it look more dramatic. Of course, we all know that shows do that. But they basically told us, like, if you guys get in a big fight or someone start crying, you know, we can't manufacture that. If that happens, that's what we'll use, because, you know, that's what happens. So it was a very kind of loosely worded thing, basically saying that it is television, they want it to be interesting, they want people to be watching. So of course with The Bachelor, they're doing that. They're trying to make it interesting, make it something that people, you know, see as drama and stuff. But the thing that really has been rubbing me the wrong way is just the way that the other girls have been treating her. Number one, I would say if you don't agree with someone's actions or the way that they're portraying themselves or anything like that, kind of like worry about yourself in a way. And this is something that I have learned and I have adapted into my life, and it's made me so much happier. I no longer judge other people, question why they do things, you know, question like, why are they acting that way? That's so gross, I don't agree, blah blah blah. I just kind of worry about myself, and I realize, you know, I don't have to agree with everyone, I don't have to like what everyone does, but I also don't necessarily need to voice it. I've realized that a lot of times there's strength in being silent and in keeping things to yourself. And it's kind of just rubbed me the wrong way how the two main girls that they are kind of focusing on, the ones that seem to have the biggest issue with Corinne being pretty forward with Nick, I guess, would be the girl Vanessa and then the girl Taylor.
I love what I do. I have the privilege of being a special needs teacher.
Nick definitely runs the risk of losing some of the other girls in the house if Corinne stays tonight.
And now both of their professions kind of also interest me. That I believe it said Vanessa is like a special education teacher, and then I think it said Taylor is a mental health counselor. So both of them have said things that, you know, Corinne seems immature, she doesn't seem ready for this, they don't think she's a woman, they think she's more of a girl, like blah blah blah.
You can't make people hear that they're not ready to hear.
I'm just confused if he is looking for a woman or a girl.
And I know Taylor even went as far as to say that Corinne lacks some emotional maturity or something, emotional intelligence. And number one, I would say, obviously those women are both educated, they're both very smart, and I just kind of think that they could have gone about it in a more classy way. And I think especially working with people and kids that, you know, probably have been in situations of feeling isolated or feeling kind of called out or maybe not included, they would be the ones to realize that Corinne is definitely getting kind of not included in the group, and girls definitely do look at her when she walks in the room, and you know, they start to whisper and these little snide remarks that are coming out. And I just feel like people that are working in a field like that would know that it's not going to help situation to kind of be like adding to that. And if anything, you would be, you know, sympathetic and understanding and, you know, maybe recognize the behavior that's going on, decide that you don't agree with it, decide that you don't think it's right, but kind of keep it to yourself and not have to air it out to Nick or to the other girls or whatever. I do respect people that talk, you know, one-on-one with each other. I think if you have an issue with someone, go to them directly, but that isn't really what happened, at least first off. I do know a lot of the girls kind of went to Nick and were complaining about Corinne and stuff, and that also kind of strikes me as odd because if you have limited time with him, why are you going to spend your time talking shit about someone else? Like, why does that help you? Now, if she had said something like, you know, I don't really like Nick, I'm just here for the fame, I'm not here because of love. If she said anything that was like a major red flag that you felt like you were in the position of needing to tell Nick that because he would be blindsided, he's not able to hear what's going on, then I could kind of understand it. But all they were really saying was that they don't agree with how she's acting and that they think it's like, you know, not mature and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know, I know that talking bad about other people never makes you look better. It never does. And especially to guys, I know that's a huge turnoff for men. They never find it like sexy or attractive or...
Corinne and Taylor aren't done yet.
Corinne is a manipulative bitch.
And one of them won't survive the week.
Just respectable if you're just bringing someone else down. And I think that that's a huge lesson that I would think these people would know, having that they're in their mid-20s, early 30s, they're not, you know, 13 and 12 years old, which is kind of the catty behavior that is going on in the show. And I just find it kind of interesting that that's happening. And of course, we don't know what's going to happen next week. I know that they kind of have showed previews of there possibly being a fight between Corinne and Taylor, maybe it getting physical, which I don't condone at all. I'm not even saying I really agree with anyone's actions. I just know that I don't agree with the gossipy type of girl. I've definitely been in that position when girls have been mean to me, girls have kind of, you know, made me feel excluded and left out, and I honestly have to say that really has shaped me as a person into someone that is very aware. I definitely know that girls like to gossip and talk about other people. If you are friends with those people and you're around that and you are being included in that and that's, you know, kind of what you guys do together, you have to realize that when you're not around, those people are probably talking about you as well. That's just what people that love to gossip about others do. And, you know, something interesting is I really have a tight-knit group of girlfriends that I love, I would do anything for, but we definitely hold each other accountable. Like, we feel comfortable enough to call each other out if we need to, but we do it in a respectful, kind manner. And in the same way, if one of us is ever, you know, saying, you know, negative things about someone else, we don't like put up with it. Someone will say, hey, that's not cool, like, hey, cut that out, like, you know, she doesn't deserve that. And I think the biggest thing is with all these girls sitting around in a circle talking about Corinne, if they actually feel like they connect well with each other, they feel like they're friends with each other, if you are not able to call someone out by saying, hey, you know, I don't think it's cool of you to be like, you know, talking down on her, you don't really know her, like, what's the point? If you can't do that, then those people are not truly your friends. If you can't tell someone that you don't think that them treating someone else is very nice or kind or respectable, then, like, you know, you have to look at what that relationship really is, because I can tell you that's not a true friend if you can't do that. And I also did notice a lot of the girls that just kind of quietly observed the situation, watched it, didn't feel the need to go tell Nick or didn't feel the need to, you know, say things amongst themselves. And those are the ones that I respect and are rooting for, just because I think, you know, the point of the show is the guy. I do also think it's interesting to note that when Nick was on The Bachelorette and he was with Caitlyn, I feel like he was very aggressive and kind of sexually forward and definitely very into trying to make sure that he had a connection with Caitlyn. And I feel like the interesting thing is that the way that he was is kind of similar to the way that Corinne is kind of playing this whole Bachelor game. And so it's not surprising that he would keep her around and he would like her, because that's kind of how he acted when he was in her position being one of the contestants. So the biggest thing that I've also learned is not to blame other women, especially I've been in a scenario of having a girl steal my boyfriend, cheat on me, blah, blah, blah. Like, having that stuff happen to you, you can be upset and angry at the girl. You know, obviously it's not fun to have a girl come on to your boyfriend or be inappropriate and sexually forward and that kind of stuff. Obviously on The Bachelor, the boundaries are different because he is dating multiple women and they know this going into it. Another reason why I could like never be on the show. I would just never do well in that environment. But I do think it's interesting that they know that going into it, and then to be so shocked and upset and irritated by the way that other people are choosing to kind of forge their relationships. It's just kind of, I guess, a little bit weird to me. And of course, it's a double standard on sexuality with men and women. That's a huge, you know, video that could be a totally different topic, but that is kind of how Nick acted. So like, why is it that weird that he finds something attractive or identifies with her in some way? I also have to say they did kind of villainize Nick before as well and turn him into like the bad guy and stuff. So I do think he feels for Corinne in that way, because he can see how maybe the other people are kind of turning on her and maybe aren't as nice to her, or I don't know, just as true to her as they are to each other. But yeah, I just would love to hear y'all's opinions on this, really. It's just something that's kind of a bigger point. It's really not about The Bachelor. I'm not having a rant about Corinne or anything like that. My biggest thing is just to remind you guys to try to be the best version of yourself that you can be and focus on yourself, because if there are girls that bother you in your life, or you don't agree with their actions, or you think to yourself all these bad things about them, or you even go as far as to, you know, say bad things about other people, other girls, that's just never gonna do anything good for you. It's really not. You know, it's bad karma, you're putting out bad energy, and it's also like this weight that you're carrying around, just having these negative thoughts towards other people that truly you can only control yourself. So all you can do is learn from other people's actions, decide if it's something you don't want to have going on in your life, and then just make yourself better because of it. You know, don't spend your time being envious or angry or looking down upon other people. It just never reflects well on you. And the last topic that I wanted to touch on again, because I'm sure I'm going to get some comments about this, I will say that I think that commenting on someone's emotional intelligence or maturity or whatever, kind of as Taylor did, I do think it's interesting that when Corinne is with the girls, she doesn't really, you know, get in with the group. She doesn't really talk a lot. But then when she's with Nick, I feel like she is almost like a better version of herself. She seems very open, very loving, very attentive and vulnerable with him. And I feel like that almost can be, you know, shown as people are multifaceted. I know she went on to say she's a corn and you have to peel back the layers or whatever, and that was kind of a silly reference, but it is true. I mean, I don't think it's ever okay to pass judgment on someone thinking you know how they are, you have them all figured out, because the truth of the matter is you don't. I mean, people have many, many different things that make up them and make them who they are, and I think just accepting that and realizing that, it's going to make you ultimately a happier, better person if you just don't pass judgment on others. And you also, you know, try to live your life without gossiping and try to live your life just being a nice girl. Girls can use that. We need to support each other. If you don't like what someone's doing, I would probably just say don't make a mention of it. You know, don't bring that out into the world. Don't put that negative energy out there, because what's the point, really? Just focus on yourself and try to be the best you that you can be. I know I've said that many times, but it's like the biggest lesson. And just from watching that episode, it just really kind of upset me, because I feel like some of these girls should know better, kind of. And I know I've been in that position of feeling, you know, isolated and feeling like girls were mean and attacking me. And it's just, I don't know. I kind of wonder sometimes why girls do act the way that they do to each other, because, you know, we know it's kind of hard being a girl, and if you can identify with that and you can understand that, why wouldn't you want to be supportive and kind to other people, especially when you don't necessarily know what's going on with them or what they're going through? And just kind of realizing that and being you know, empathetic like that. So that's it for this video. Definitely leave me your comments. I'm really excited to actually read them and see what the thoughts are, because I think this could go many ways. But that's it for today's video. See you later. Bye.